The swimming pool's surface shimmered like liquid glass as the sun hung low in the sky, bathing it in a warm, golden glow. I was floating in the sun, my eyes closed, the sound of the water gently caressing me. The quiet calm was broken by the sound of approaching footsteps. My stepdad shouted out, "Hey, kiddo," with a playful tone in his voice. When I opened my eyes, I saw him standing by the pool's edge, his toned physique beaming in the sun with a mischievous smile on his face. I fluttered with excitement as he showed off his figure in form-fitting swim trunks. "Hey, are you coming in, Dad?" My heart was racing, but I answered, cocking my head back and attempting to seem lighthearted. There was a playful twinkle in his eyes as he responded, "Maybe I will. However, you must first catch me." He plunged into the water with that, creating ripples on the surface with his splash. I laughed uncontrollably, my enthusiasm exploding as I swam closer him and flipped off the float. As I rushed after him, the sun warmed my back and the cool water felt rejuvenating against my flesh. He moved astonishingly quickly, slicing through the water with ease. He sent back a cheeky look as he said, "You think you can catch me? Simply wait." I yelled, my strokes driven by desire as I at last got closer to you. I gave a sudden thrust forward, seizing his arm and drawing him in. He turned to face me and laughed, his voice warm and rich. "Got you," he said. He continued, "All right, you win this time," his voice growing softer as our faces got closer. There was a noticeable and palpable shift in the tension in the air. His warmth was streaming toward me, and I could feel his intense stare locking onto mine. He said, "You're getting better," with a tone that was slightly admiring. "Regards, Father." With my heart pounding, I answered, "I've been practicing, not just from swimming." He moved in closer, and I felt a thrill of intimacy as the water lapped about our legs. His voice was silky and low as he remarked, "You know, I always wanted to teach you how to swim better." I offered that perhaps we might practice together more frequently, my breath catching as I sensed our chemistry growing stronger. "Indeed, it would be great," he answered, briefly lowering his sight to my lips before returning it to me. "You've come a long way." His eyes suddenly held a deeper quality, a yearning that made me feel something. I moved in closer, feeling my heart rate increase. "I feel as though we've been spending too little time together." His fingers lingered on my skin as he rubbed a wet hair strand behind my ear, his gaze softening. "I have the same emotions." I leaned in slightly and our lips touched lightly before I had time to second-guess myself. It was an innocent kiss that felt thrilling. Although it was hesitant at first, the tension in the air made the kiss deeper as our lips came together once more. His hands found my waist and drew me in closer as the heat from his body kindled a fire within of me. Upon eventually drawing away, both of us panting, I looked into his eyes for any indication of reluctance, but all I saw was what reflected back to me. What was that just now? I felt a mixture of anxiety and excitement rushing through me. He recoiled a little but kept his hands on my waist, his thumbs lightly touching my flesh, saying, "I don't know." I can't deny, though, that it felt incredible. With a beating heart, I nodded. Yes, it did. I felt bolder because there was an obvious chemistry between us. Perhaps we shouldn't oppose it. For a brief moment, his expression was split, but then he drew closer, his breath warming against my cheek. "Do you truly want this?" "Above all," I muttered, with a surge of audacity. He grinned, the brightness returning to his eyes. "Let's not over." "Okay, then." He brought us closer once more, his lips meeting mine in a passionate kiss that fired up every nerve ending in my body. His hands slid to my back, drawing me in, and as we melted into each other, the water swirled about us. I lost myself in the moment as I put my arms around his neck and kissed him more passionately. Every caress sparked a longing I didn't know existed, and every touch sent sparks flying. Our kisses became more intense, and I felt alive, the excitement of the forbidden running through me. Breathless, I broke the kiss and stared up at him. "What happens if we're noticed?" He whispered, "Let them," his lips grazing mine as a new wave of want surged through me. "I'm sick of keeping my desire for you a secret." I felt a rush of excitement from his words, so I leaned closer and kissed him more passionately. The outside world vanished, leaving us each lost in our own desires. His fingers traced over my body, drawing me in closer as the water engulfed us, our heat radiating from each other against the pool's coolness. "Are you serious about that?" Between kisses, my heart thumping, I asked. "Without a doubt," he said, his voice full of feeling. I had long desired this. We began kissing more passionately, and I sensed a rush of tension growing between us. I was able to feel the consequences of our decisions, but at that point, nothing else was important. I drew him in closer, my body melding flawlessly with his as we moved in time, engrossed in a flurry of feelings. "Let's not stop," I muttered as the sun sank lower and surrounded us in a warm warmth. We both gave in to the moment, the outer world vanishing as he nodded and went in for another kiss, a fire rising in his eyes. We were becoming more and more connected, and I could see our passion sparking something fresh and interesting that we had to stop ignoring. I was eager to discover whatever was ahead with him by my side because this was just the beginning. The world around us became a blurry backdrop as our lips met once more, captivated by the intensity of our connection. With every kiss, the intensity of our desire increased as we ventured into this unknown realm together. I ran my hands over his powerful shoulders and down his arms, feeling his heart pound beneath my fingertips. I could feel the heat rising from the experience, a fire that pulsed with every contact. The warmth that was growing between our bodies was in sharp contrast to the cool water's embrace. My voice barely above a whisper, I breathlessly advised, "Let's move to the shallow end." "I wish we had more intimacy." With a nod and dark, desire-filled gaze, we walked to the edge of the pool together, where the water was warmer and the air was thick with expectation. He followed, his body creeping nearer to mine as I went onto the edge of the pool, enjoying the sensation of the smooth tile against my flesh. "Is everything all right?" As he snuggled next to me and our shoulders touched, he inquired in a quiet voice. Though I could see the doubt in his eyes, I could not deny the need. With my heart pounding, I answered, "It's more than okay. This is what I desire." He smiled reluctantly and reached out to brush a strand of hair out of my face before leaning in once more. This kiss was not like the others, it was gentler and yet roiling with passion. I melted into him, and we moved our lips in perfect unison, creating a lovely rhythm that matched the pounding in our hearts. His hands were on my waist, drawing me in as the kiss got deeper and his warmth flared up like a flame. I savored the feeling, my body reacting to his touch naturally. I put my arms around his neck and felt the power of his arms holding me tight. I felt brave and daring to lean into the moment. He whispered, "You feel so good," against my lips, his breath enticing and warm. His speech had a hunger that I could feel, a reflection of my own desires. I said, my voice almost audible above a whisper, "You have no idea how long I've wanted this." The phrases spilled out before I could stop them, yet in this instance, there was only unadulterated honesty. He whispered, teasingly brushing his lips across mine before grabbing them again, "Then let's not hold back." A flame was lit by the kiss and it quickly went throughout me, exhilarating and overwhelming. I felt his hands running over my back, following the natural contours of my form, and in response I pressed myself up against him, heart palpitating. "Papa," I inhaled deeply and took a moment to gather myself before realizing the seriousness of our actions. "Is this really acceptable?" With his fingertips lightly brushing my cheek, he muttered, "Shoo. Simply allow it to occur." I let go of control and trusted my gut feeling both excited and nervous at the same time. I leaned in once again, and a newfound passion met our lips. Each kiss seemed to be a vow, an expression of our unsaid emotions. I entangled my fingers in his hair, lost myself in the pleasure as his hands descended lower and clamped down around my waist. The outside world vanished, leaving only the two of us and the yearning that sizzled like electricity between us. Between lips, Ethan whispered, his voice full with passion. I didn't think I would feel this way about you. Leaning toward him, my heart pounding, I admitted that I didn't either. However, it seems quite natural. I crushed my body into his, feeling the heat radiating between us, and the air felt thick with need. His movements had a sense of urgency that made my spine tingle. Our kisses became hotter and more intense, a mirror of our growing affection for one another. I peered into his eyes as I took a tiny step back, my lips just above his. Now, what should we do? With a beating heart, I whispered. He answered in a steady, low voice, we take this one step at a time. Collectively. And with that, the world seemed to fade away as we leaned toward each other again and kissed. We seemed to be living in a bubble where everything else seemed unimportant. I felt waves of warmth from each kiss, a longing I never knew was possible. We were so absorbed in one another that time seemed to stand still. Feeling the warmth of his body on mine, I drew him in closer as we gave ourselves over to the moment. There was no denying our chemistry, and each kiss stoked the flame that burned between us. He whispered against my lips, let's promise to keep this between us for now. His words grounded me. With my heart racing, I said, I promise. A little fear mixed with exhilaration. Even though I knew that what we were doing was wrong, I couldn't help but be drawn in by the excitement of getting to know him more and discovering this new connection. We held hands and reveled in the intimacy we had built as the sun sank lower in the sky, bathing the pool in a gentle golden light. In his embrace, I felt secure and surrounded by a feeling of belonging. He gently brushed his lips on my forehead, saying, whatever happens next, I'm here for you. The tenderness of the gesture made me feel warm within. I know, I answered, love swelled in my chest. I'm here for you as well. I understood then that we were setting off on a trip together, one that would be full of unknowns but also limitless opportunities. I was excited and full of optimism for what was ahead with him by my side. A fantastic experience was lying just beneath the surface.